Our reporter, Martin Mwaura, has been on the beat overnight and is now joining us via video link. Martin, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Thank you for joining us. We know that a lot was happening yesterday. You can first of all bring us up to speed in terms of what has happened overnight in Murang'a.
All right. As you have rightly said, yes, Murang'a is among the almost 20 counties that were affected by the protests, by the violent protests that were yesterday during the marking of the 35th Saba. Now, Murang'a was largely peaceful during the day, but after some few hours, from around 11, it's when chaos rocked the area. And Murang'a has 7 constituencies, but the violence took place in 3 constituencies, that is Kandara, Kangema, and Kegumo. But they were affected differently because in Kandara is where a supermarket, as you have rightly said, was raided and looted by those protesters. That is the county supermarket in Kandara, Akabati town. Also, they tried to raid another supermarket, also from the same business person. That is county supermarket in Kenol, but they were unable, after the police managed to quell the chaos there. They didn't manage to break in. And but the most affected where people were actually injured is Kangare town, Kangare market in Kegumo constituency. That is where 8 people sustained serious injuries. That is 5 were actually shot, and 3 were three were seriously injured. One succumbed at Murang'a County Referral Hospital while undergoing treatment. 2 who are still in ICU are still in ICU right now, undergoing medication. 8 officers were injured also in the same process in Kangare as they were trying to quell the protests. Yeah. In Kangema constituency is where there's also violence rocked the area, and the protests also went until the wee hours of the night. And at around 10, I received a few phone calls from the residents alleging that police officers have gunned down 2 protesters at night. That was around 10 p.m. That is what I'm trying to follow up today to know if it is indeed the protesters were shot at night. And in Kiharu constituency, that is where Murang'a town is, also the county headquarters. It was also rocked by violent protest, where protesters lit bonfire and engaged police in a running battle, police firing tear gas and also shooting blanks in there to try and disperse. The protest went also till the wee hours of the night, because by the time I was going home at around midnight, the police were still engaging the protesters. Yeah. And I spoke to the county commissioner, who is also the acting regional commissioner of central region, and he alleged that they are investigating that this group was ferried from some other places, which is we have not yet been able to verify, but he's alleging that the protesters were ferried from the neighboring counties.
What do the locals tell you? Do the locals know the people who were, burning tires and looting property?
The locals are saying they know a few of them, but they're saying others were unfamiliar faces. So that is what we are trying to keep tabs on, to establish if it is indeed true these people were ferried, or others. Some even while I was shooting, I saw others. I actually identified me because there's a group that tried to stop me from recording, which is unfamiliar with the area, and another group actually told them, no, let this guy shoot because we know him. He's a journalist. Wow. So we're trying to identify if it is indeed these people.
Right.
Yes.
My gosh, it's not unheard of though. I did hear so many other cases of people saying that the people that are coming here to loot, to beat, They're not people we have ever seen before. But Martin, specifically speaking to Murang'a, what has been the pattern? Like, I know you spoke to it a little bit earlier, but during previous protests, what has been the pattern? What was different this time? What was similar, if anything?
Yes, thank you, Mariam. What normally happened is in the previous, the protesters were very peaceful and they never targeted any certain business. But when I go with the last Mandamano that was there, it was largely by the Gen Zs and the students from Murang'a University, the neighboring Aero Technical, and also the KMTC. And they never looted. They just engaged the police in the running battles. But no business owner lost anything. There was no attempt, but this time round, yesterday, it was massive looting. And also people lost their valuables also. Snatching of mobile phones, others lost their handbags, others even their bags, and that is the difference between the last 2 Mandamanos and yesterday's protest.
Martin, reports that there's power cuts or power outages in Murang'a. Can you confirm that there's power outages in some parts of Murang'a?
Yes, what happened is as the protests were going on, some young men they actually burned down a county revenue office, and next to them were power lines. So the fire might have affected those power lines. It's not that they interfered with it directly or cutting the power lines. It's only that fire affected the power lines that were near that revenue office. And yes, some people slept without power, and not only power. I've actually woke up today and had to take a shower using a basin because water, they also damaged some water pipes. Okay. What they normally do, and it's a trend I've realized, whenever there are these protests and police are firing tear gas, they always go and break a water pipe that they use, yes, to wash their faces, also refill their water bottles, the water bottles, yes, so as to be able to engage police without being affected by the tear gas.
Yes. I know, that's so... Oof. Oh, he said the police go and break that so that they can... No. Oh, sorry, the protesters. Apologies.
No. Yes. It's the protesters. Yes. It's the protesters who do that.
Yeah.
Yes, they go and do the pipes. The water runs freely. They refill their bottles. Others also, if the tear gas is too much, they can wash their faces so they can be able to engage the police for long.
Na maji ya Murang'a ni tamu. You guys have like, no, it really is. I hope
Martin amekubali. He's just like, yep. I want to ask a quick question. Maybe you've already addressed it, Martin, but was there coordination with the protesters? Was it scattered? Was it spontaneous, or was it coordinated from your observation, especially this time around?
Speaking to locals, it was well coordinated because I spoke to some few people and they were telling me there was a certain lady who was actually, it's like he was monitoring where the police are, and he could call other people on the phone and tell them, you guys, let us disperse, let this group go to this side, let this other group go to this side, so that you can divide the police. So it seems like that's an allegation that I was told by a resident and a shop owner who actually was also following. And he told me it's like these people were, I don't know if it's the police that were trying to invade or they were just trying to coordinate so as to create more chaos. That is what I have not yet identified, but it was well coordinated.
Okay.
Did you hear of this kind of planning and agitation on Sunday or Saturday ahead of Saba?
There were those allegations and the rumors were there. Even we could see the police, the anti-riot from Saturday. In Murang'a from Saturday, the anti-riot have been active, patrolling the town, nearby government and county offices. And it seems that they also had the same. I spoke to a source at the intelligence and they're telling me they had that intel that this thing had been coordinated also, and they were on the lookout.
Okay. Martin, Murang'a is very, very close to Nairobi, of course, just an hour or less, I think, and you're in Murang'a. Do the politics and the political ongoings mirror those happening within the Nairobi CBD and, within what we would call the seat of power? Or are there unique, very different issues to the people of Murang'a that are also seen in the way that Saba went down in Murang'a?
all this is, as you have said, it's all about what is happening in Nairobi, the politics, the national politics, and people trying to vent. Because most of these people, they're only saying one thing. And allow me to put them verbatim. These are not my words, but they are words of the protesters. They're just saying all they want is one term, one term. Everywhere you go, they're just saying one term, saying we are just tired. This politics, a lot is happening. The country is not heading towards the right direction, and the political class does not care. When we complain, they're trying to, silence us with money. Those they're saying even those empowerment programs are just a way of trying to woo them to forget about what is happening at the national level. There are also allegations that, and these are from the residents and the movement, caused some political flag. There are allegations that the beans that were being distributed by one of the leaders in Murang'a, actually, I don't know if it's a beef with them or it's true. The allegation that those beans are not actually cooking well, in short, wanasema haziivi. So those are the kind of things that are bringing a lot of heat. They're saying that our issue, it's not about the beans. It's all about if this country has the right leadership, we don't need beans, we don't need empowerment. All we need is a job. Create that environment where people can be able to come and set up factories where people can do cottage industries. Right. But currently the situation does not allow. So that's why people are saying, sisi tunatokea juu nchi haiko sawa. Tunataka mabadiliko. That's what they're saying.
Okay. The difference, like you said, between other protests and this was people were largely peaceful. No business was looted. No one lost property. Yesterday, were there attempts at community policing, especially if you're saying there's elements that people don't recognize? Murang'a is a big town, but it's also not that big a town, right? That you'd be able to tell who if people are not from around, like you said. So then were there attempts to kind of keep that in check? By either the police or by civilians?
The police tried. They tried to drive the protesters out of town because Murang'a is not a very big town, and we only have a few supermarkets. And if I may allow, there is Mathai and Magunas, and there are also some other wholesalers. When I was speaking to those protesters, they were saying our target is not. Some, not all. Those who I know from Murang'a saying our target is not looting these businesses. The previous night, some of the businesses had reinforced their doors with steel, but no attempt was made in any of the supermarkets that I know of. But even largely, these people who are stealing, they were stealing from passers-by. Apart from now, I'm talking of Murang'a town. In Kabati is where hell broke loose. In Kabati, it's near Thika and it's nearer to Nairobi. So I think the protesters, the hired crowd, did not manage to get all the way to Murang'a town. But around Kenol, which is the fast growing town, and Kabati, they're actually rising very fast because they are nearer to Nairobi and nearer to Thika.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you for that update. And I'm sure, as you said, you'll be following up on what's happened overnight, on the reports that you've had, and we'll be getting your report on NTV News later today. Martin Mwaura, our correspondent in Murang'a, speaking to us about what's happened in Murang'a